All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving deep into Chapter 4, which is titled Strategy, Formulation and Competitive Positioning, straight from Suleiman Anwar's incredibly insightful book, Strategic Management, From Vision to Transformation. We're going to map out exactly how you can turn absolute market turbulence into a rock-solid competitive advantage. We're skipping the dry theory and going straight into the actual frameworks used to build truly dominant, resilient organizations.
So let's quickly look at our roadmap. We're covering 1. The Pakistani strategic landscape. 2. Stage 1, the input. 3. Stage 2, the matching. 4. Stage 3, the decision. 5. Logic and diagnostics. And finally, 6. Integrating for success. Now, don't sweat the upcoming alphabet soup of strategy acronyms, okay? We're going to decode all of it into a single, logical pipeline that actually makes sense.
Starting off with Section 1, the Pakistani strategic landscape, frictions and vectors. To really get this, we have to understand the high-stakes, turbulent waters of the Pakistani business environment. As you can see, we're dealing with a landscape of absolute extremes here. On one hand, you've got this severe operational friction. We're talking wild currency volatility, energy shortages, and shifting regulations that just make day-to-day operations highly unpredictable. But then, right on the flip side, you've got these explosive, frontier-level opportunities, things like a massive youth-driven digital boom, the rapid expansion of Islamic finance, and of course, regional connectivity through CPEC. It's wild, right?
And that brings us to a really crucial point, captured perfectly by Suleiman Anwar here. In an environment this volatile, having a strategy isn't just some corporate luxury. It's a literal, non-negotiable discipline for survival. You just can't coast on yesterday's momentum. You have to actively, deliberately formulate your future. Moving right along to Section 2, Stage 1, the input, gathering raw intelligence. Let's look at Framework I, which is Fred R. David's analytical sequence. This whole sequence is actually a super simple 1-2-3 punch. First, you gather your inputs, your raw data. Then you move into the matching stage to plot out potential courses of action. And finally, you hit the decision stage to lock in your actual destination. Okay, so how do we actually gather that raw intelligence? Well, we use 3 very specific scorecards. The EFE matrix scores how well you're handling external opportunities and threats. The IFE matrix grades your internal strengths and weaknesses. And the CPM, the competitive profile matrix, that one directly scores you against your biggest rivals on key success factors. Before you make any big moves, these matrices basically force you to objectively answer exactly where you stand, replacing gut feelings with cold, hard numbers. All right, Section 3, Stage 2, the matching, plotting the course. Now that we have our intelligence gathered and scored, we need to generate our strategic options. This is where the magic happens. We match our internal realities with our external environment, using tools like SWOT to link up strengths with opportunities. Then the space matrix tells us, hey, should we be aggressive right now or defensive? And for massive multi-business conglomerates, think Nishat Group or Lucky Group, the BCG and IE matrices are absolutely vital. They literally use these matrices to rapidly assess their capabilities across entirely different sectors. It's how they decide, for example, to take cash from a mature cement business and use it to aggressively fund a brand new renewable energy venture. And a real game changer here is the Grand Strategy Matrix. This plots your competitive position right up against the market's growth rate. It visually forces leadership teams to take a hard look in the mirror. Say you're in a market that's exploding with growth, but your competitive position is actually pretty weak. Well, you've got to make a tough call right then and there. Do you double down and invest heavily to build that capability? Or do you just divest and get out before you get crushed? It completely takes the emotion out of the decision. Which leads us to Section 4, Stage 3, the decision, locking in the destination. We've mapped out our options, but we have to pick a path. To pick that path, we use the Quantitative Strategic Planning Matrix, or QSPM. Let's look at Engro Corporation as a perfect example from the source material. They were weighing 2 absolutely massive strategies, expanding into renewable energy versus diversifying into agritech. By assigning weights and rating the attractiveness of key factors, they got a total attractiveness score. And this wasn't just some executive hunch, right? It objectively, mathematically justified Engro's bold push into renewable energy. The data literally proved it was the right move. Moving to Section 5, Logic and Industry Diagnostics, the reality check. Because let's be real, strategy doesn't happen in a vacuum, and numbers alone just aren't enough. This is where Framework 2 by Johnson and Scholes comes in to show us the logical flow.
Notice that feedback step? It beautifully illustrates that strategy is a continuous, cyclical loop of learning. It connects your core mission to your analysis, to your choices, and then, this is key, demands that you learn from the results. It's definitely not some static binder you just shove on a dusty shelf. It's a living, breathing process of constant adaptation. And right alongside that is Framework 3, Thompson and Strickland's Industry Diagnostic. Think of this as your ultimate stress test. Before you launch that brilliant strategy you just calculated, you have to ask yourself these 7 relentless questions. What is technology actually doing to your industry? What are the dominant economic traits? It's a reality check, plain and simple, ensuring that your big internal ambitions don't completely blind you to massive external shifts in the market. Finally, Section 6, Integrating Strategy for Success. We've covered a ton of analytical ground, so let's see how this all comes together in the real world. Comparing local corporate titans like Mizon Bank and Interloop shows us exactly how integrating these frameworks translates abstract theories into actual market dominance. Look at Mizon Bank. They use continuous environmental scanning to incrementally blend this really rapid digital innovation with uncompromised, strict Sharia compliance. Interloop, on the other hand, they went transformational. They deliberately overhauled their internal capabilities with advanced automation and global ESG standards to absolutely dominate the textile export market. Both of them applied rigorous strategy formulation to secure their edge. So, I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to take away from this explainer. Look at the tools and the sheer discipline required to actually thrive, not just survive, in business today. In a market as unpredictable yet full of massive opportunity as the one outlined in this chapter, which path is your organization actually on? Are you just kind of coasting on yesterday's momentum? Or are you actively, mathematically, and logically formulating your competitive future?